Good morning, Chessie. How are you? Hey, Danielle. Good to see you. I'm going to give you like 1 minute and then we're going to wait for everyone else and then we will start the show. And good morning, everybody. Hey, Pastor Leo Dempsey, keep the faith. Susan, it's Friday again. Amen, amen. Good morning, Robin. Good morning, Danielle. Danielle, I had my hair cut about a week or so ago. Probably maybe 2 weeks by now. Hey, Judy, good morning. Good to see you. Diana, good morning. Chessie, good morning. Good morning. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started on this Friday. Let me just read a little bit from Psalm 31 and we will get started. In you, O Lord, I put my trust. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in your righteousness. Bow down your ear to me. Deliver me speedily. Be my rock of refuge, a fortress of defense to save me. For you are my rock and my fortress. Therefore, for your name's sake, lead me and guide me. Pull me out of the net which they have secretly laid for me. For you are my strength. Into your hand I commit my spirit. You have redeemed me, O Lord, God of truth. Amen, amen, amen. Okay. All right, so let's see what we have coming up today. As probably many of you know, CPAC is going on in Dallas. Coverage begins today around 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 12 noon Central. So you can watch that and see what's going on in CPAC if that interests you. Thank you, Danielle. Now let's see some breaking news from kind of sort of breaking news from the CDC. Of course, we want to be updated on everything that they throw at you because you never know when the kitchen sink is coming. So they say here that the CDC and the FDA say people do not need a booster at this time after this particular company intends to seek an okay for a third shot. So the the company that starts with the P says that they're looking for FDA approval, and don't worry because you may not need a booster right at this moment, but in case we do, we're going to have one ready for you so you can get another badge. Hey, Tim, Marvin, good morning. Good to see you. So the fun just keeps on rolling out from those people. Let's look at some other news that just recently occurred. This is just a guy who, what can I say? Michael Avenatti, he Stormy Daniels' ex-lawyer, heads to prison for attempted extortion of Nike. He tried to extort them up to $25 million by threatening the company with bad publicity. He gets 2.5 years in prison. And they say, I don't know if it's true or not, but that he cried during his sentencing. Can I see Facebook, Danielle? Yeah. Yep, it says you shared Facebook, so I can see it. Yep. I can see you on Facebook right now. Hey, Sally, good to see you. So Avenatti off to jail. I would show you what James Woods put out there, but maybe I shouldn't. So we'll just let that go. You can probably only imagine what he had to say to Michael. Here's another thing that came out. This is from Chris Kroc. He said Biden should have made Avenatti his VP candidate. He'd be free today, just like Hunter. So, how true is that? Too bad for Michael. And I did read, I don't know if it's true or not, but they said that he'd been reaching out to the White House, probably to try to get a pardon or something of that nature. And Biden was just too busy to talk to him. So, funny thing to get him on, and Nikki can destroy itself without help. Oh, Nike. Barbara was saying he was another evil man that they put on a pedestal. Yeah, he was a co-host and everything on CNN. Hey, Bruce, good morning. Avenatti should have had a much longer sentence. Anybody else would have gotten that, Tim, I think. Saw that about James Woods. That was funny, wasn't it, Barbara? It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that they are on to boosters, yet they can't tell you if the tests only detect this certain strain. They don't care. Just say, get your arm ready. Get your arm ready for as many things that they want to throw out there. In fact, probably what you should do, if you're interested in taking the badge from this point forward, go and get a tattoo. I don't usually recommend tattoos, but just get a tattoo of a target. So they can just throw needles, and whatever lands there is what you get. Hey, Karen, good to see you. They probably promised him a lot. Probably, who knows? Stormy Daniels needs to go to jail too for lying. Danielle said, Stormy is she's all upset with Michael, hopes that he gets his life in order, and says maybe this will give him an opportunity to kind of get his life in order. I mean, I guess she's good to go and handing out the judgments and criticisms on what people should do after she does what she does. I mean, all right, okay, hey, whatever. Kind of funny, but all right. So now I apologize ahead of time because I'm going to show you the leader of the free world, and want you to listen as to what he is saying, because everything that comes out of his mouth is extremely important. And the way he says it, of course, is extremely important. So let's start from the beginning, and here we go.
Work for the release of detained Americans, including Mark, Ferrix. I want to pronounce the name correctly. I misspoke. And this, starting this month, we're going to begin to relocate. We're going to begin relocation flights for Afghanistan SIV applicants. Half have gotten on aircraft and commercial flights and come. Another half believe they want to stay. We went for two reasons. One, to bring Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell, as I said at the time.
So there you go. It just gets scarier and scarier every single day. They're birds of a feather. Yeah, Avenatti and what's her face? Yeah. So anyway, no one remembers. You can see this was during a press conference. He is just getting worse and worse and worse as time goes on. I have to say that I've stopped feeling sorry for him. Maybe I shouldn't, but I've kind of stopped feeling sorry for him. And I'm praying for his salvation. But that's about all I can do. Brian can't even speak anymore. No, he can't, Tim. He was already at the gates of hell, bad speech writing. It's just crazy how we watch this man deteriorate every day, and how the people around him allow it. And yet everybody on the left, at least, or most people on the left, they just look at it as if, well, this is normal. I mean, I don't know if you watch the nightly news. That had to have been on the nightly news, at least parts of it. And so you could see for yourself, even on CNN and MSNBC, that something's wrong. Maybe people are starting to wake up. I don't know. I don't know how you could look at that and not know that something was wrong. All right. So now I want you to look at something. I want you to watch the whole thing and tell me what it is that you see, because I see several things here. let's see. Sally said Instagram is saying that they're planning on removing children and elderly out of the homes on non-vaxxers. If that happens, think that's when the first. Yeah, Sally, I would want to see who is saying that first, because a lot of times people just bring things up on Instagram to get people revved up and excited, in a bad way sometimes. So I would want to know what authority they have that on. That would be something that would be a total constitutional violation if we still had the Constitution. Something that I think the sheriffs in certain towns would come and stop. I've not heard that from anybody else. The consequences of allowing evil in his life, perhaps. Yeah, Judy. Yeah, or having the Antichrist spirit and willingly taking it sometimes. I think some of these people. So. All right. So let's, I want you to watch this again. As I was saying, I want you to watch this and tell me what it is that you see, because I think people see different things, but this to me is sort of an indication, sadly, of where we are these days in our society. So let me bring this up and start it. Okay, so let's go back. Very fuzzy on your screen, though I throw it out there to see if anyone else has heard it. We know the gay community is coming for the children. According to there was no volume on it, Melanie. There's no volume. There was no volume. No volume. What that was, as you saw, a guy walks in with a gun and robs the place. Tell us what it is about, because we can't. There's nothing to hear. It's what you're supposed to see. What you're supposed to see. Watch again. No volume. Just watch it again and see what you see and what stands out for you. Now you see these people standing here, the girl and the two guys. Guy walks in with a gun and a helmet on. Walks over to the guy eating chicken, who's just eating chicken, right? And looks like he takes his necklace or something. Still got the gun out. Guy back here with the girl at the table. He's eating chicken. Looks like they're hiding something. Looks like she keeps trying to put something behind him. And he's eating chicken. Gets all their money. Doesn't want the phones. She puts out her phone. He takes the necklace instead. Just breaks it off. The other guy stands up, still eating chicken. Some other guy walks in, still stealing some more, and off he goes. So, what did you think after watching that? What stands out to you? Hey, Kathy McPherson. I'm here. Good to be alive. Hallelujah. Absolutely, Kathy. Good to see you. Anybody? Does anything stand out for anybody? Another day in the USA, Barbara said. Here's the thing that I noticed. Number one, guy walks in with a handgun. How could you be eating while being robbed? Well, that's one good question, Melanie. The complacency of the chicken eaters. Yeah. And not only that, But good morning, Stephanie. Good to see you. It's a hoax. No, I didn't. I don't think it's a hoax. But what I noticed, what really bothered me, from what I could see, it looked like everyone acted like it was normal. Yeah. But here's one thing. Let me just show you again and back it up to what really kind of disturbed me. Yeah, the chicken eaters did too. But see these people right here? Now, this young woman, I don't know how old she is maybe teenager. I don't know. But she's obviously with these two guys here, right? You can see she's playing around like she's hitting this guy. This could be her boyfriend. It could be her brother. I don't know. Somebody that she knows, right? Now, continue to watch when they realize that the place is being robbed. Watch what they do. They turn around and they leave. And they left the girl all by herself. That's what I noticed. That's what stood out to me. And I'm like, really? You left this young girl there and you guys leave. What in the world? They could have grabbed her by the arm. They could have done whatever. But what happened? No, they weren't part of it, Robin. What happened to people? What happened to, men looking after and helping women? I guess that's my point. I know that type of thing no longer exists. And maybe some women would be offended by someone helping them. That's a male. I don't know. But that's what stood out to me in kind of where our world has gone. Complacency is one, like Sally said. And the other is sort of, just basically fending for yourself, not caring about anywhere else. They're girly men now, Bruce said. They're zombies. He could have grabbed that girl easily. He walked right past her. He could have grabbed her as a hostage. Feminism has ruined many men. Absolutely. Absolutely, Stephanie. Because like I said, a lot of women probably would have been offended if a man had tried to help them. I'm not one of them, but I think that's very possible. And so that's kind of where we are in our world. And it's very sad. It's very sad that now we look at lawlessness as, or those people do at least. I don't know about the rest of the world. And I don't know where that took place. And then the guy comes in with a helmet on and a gun as if he's making a deposit in the bank, like no big deal. It's craziness, crazy with a capital C. That's where we are today. All right. Now I've got some other things for you to look at. This is July 9. This is a day that you should mark on your calendars and remember. And why do I say that? Well, let me let you hear what is happening on this date. Lawlessness on the road to anarchy, then totalitarian state, James said. I carry Legos, so it would have been different. There you go, Sally. Yep. For God's sakes, don't have Legos on you. That would be the worst thing. Okay. All right. So here you go. This is July 9, 2021. This is a day that you should mark on your calendar. We'll talk about it right after this message.
There will be another crisis. It will be more significant. And, we need to actually start preparing for that now. When we do see this next crisis, it will be faster than what we've seen with COVID. The exponential growth rate will be much steeper. The impact will be greater. And as a result, the economic and social implications will be even more significant.
Even more significant? What is this next crisis that we just heard Jeremy Jurgens, Harvard-educated managing director of the World Economic Forum, describing? Well, now let's hear from Klaus Schwab himself.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. to use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons the cybersecurity community can draw and improve our preparedness for a potential cyber pandemic.
Yes, a cyber pandemic. And before we even talk about what that is, I just want to again appreciate that we just heard two leaders of the World Economic Forum promise that we are going to have a new crisis soon that dwarfs COVID, which has already spelled the end of the world as we know it. So this is something severe, and we need to take notice.
So basically, you heard him say, this cyber attack that you should take notice of. I don't know. I can't speak like Klaus Schwab. That's the best imitation that I can do. Russo, because they obviously know something and are part of it. Translation, we're cooking in the lab and planning a cyber shutdown, Judy said. Schwab is a globalist. Yeah. Even Fo Chi-ching said in 2017 that they were going to have, let's see, where was that? That they would have a virus when Trump was president. And yeah, see, the thing of it is, anybody talking about the future events should be arrested, Ruse said. You remember when you remember back in event 201, right? You remember that? And that was all about a planned conference that they had that was going to tell you about the coming pandemic. And right after that, really, that was in October 2019, we got a pandemic. Now, there's new, and we'll get that to just a moment, there's new evidence that the actual information regarding the pandemic was out in October 2019. And as I've told you, that my husband and I really feel that in November 2019, that we got that virus because of the way that we were feeling and stuff like that. But of course, we didn't know that there was a virus out there. Joe Obama is advertising for a cyber attack, Tim said. Really, they left God out of the picture. Well, yeah, that's the intent, Danielle. Stephanie said they always reveal what they're going to do, just like the event. Yes. And no, today is the day, July 9, 2021, that they are holding their conference, their training, whatever you want to call it, for the cyber attack. And that is happening today, July 9. And that's a day you should mark on your calendar, because typically when they do that, it's right around the corner. They're broadcasting exactly what they're going to do. Now, here's some disturbing information that goes along with it that you should be aware of. And this is from the Gateway Pundit. And they say that the World Economic Forum's Concept 2021, that's what they're calling it, Concept 2021, deals with attacks to supply chains. This is eerily similar to Bill Gates' sponsored pandemic simulation in 2019. And that's what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the Cyber Polygon 2021. If you remember, we talked all about that and what that was going on. The conference will draw together leading global experts to discuss the key risk of digitalization and best practices in developing secure ecosystems. During the technical exercise, the participants will practice mitigating a targeted supply chain attack on a corporate ecosystem. And the expert track will feature renowned cybersecurity professionals from various countries who will explore practical aspects of protecting large corporations. Yeah. Okay. So they talk about the 2019. So again, when they start talking about things like that, past behavior has shown us that they actually follow through. If you want to look at event 201 as an example, Cyber Polygon. Yep. And that's what we had talked about a couple of weeks ago, Sherry. We brought that up. We talked about what it meant. Bohemian Grove time too, Rue said, think there's something fishy about all the hacks. Good morning, Monique. Good to see you. Yeah, the thing of it is, there are cyber attacks that are taking place where people are having to pay Bitcoin, for getting back their authority or power over their own computer systems, right? Internet system. And so they're not talking about how many are happening, but they are happening. And again, it's interesting that we're talking about the supply chain and food and all that. So I guess my thing is to ask all of you, are you doing anything to kind of prepare? Are you doing anything for in case that your electricity goes out, that you don't have food at the store because people go in there and ransack it, or because they can't get food, or they just don't have things on the shelves? Or what about your water supply? And I'm not saying that you should go out and prepare for 3 years or whatever, but are you prepared for a week, maybe 2 weeks? Do you have enough medicines if you require medicine? Do you have enough medicine for a little while to take care of yourself? There was a book that was written, and let's see if I can find it really quickly. It was about an EMP attack, but it was pretty good, and I can't remember the name of it because there was let's see. I want to say The Day After Tomorrow, but I don't, that may have been it. And basically what happened when an EMP occurred in this fictional scenario, people couldn't get medicines. They couldn't get food. They couldn't get water. They couldn't get all those things. Now, and they couldn't drive their cars because of the computer chips and things of that in it. Yeah, I don't listen to that letter of the alphabet, Melanie. So, I mean, people can read that or not. I'm not going to quote what they have to say. Chezzy said, I don't have enough money for a power backup, but I have food and water, which Chezzy, you do what you got to do and all that you can do, right? It's what each person should do. In December 2019, my husband and I got hit with something far worse than pneumonia that knocked us off our feet for nearly 5 days straight. It lingered in our bodies for 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, well, and like I said, they're finding out that it was probably around much sooner than people thought, and that was being released into the public, before they even told us that they had it, that it was out there. So, I think that's just something that you have to keep in mind, and again, try to do as well as you can, as best as you can, on getting some supplies together that you need. I need to go to stock up at the liquor store. Well, Wayne, I know that you're joking about that, but in some ways, people who prefer alcohol, that might be a good bartering tool or item that you have, and people laugh at it, but it may come in handy. It also may come in handy for when you need alcohol on your body to wash something out. I suppose that's at least some alcohol, or sanitize your hands or whatever. Now, I don't know. I don't have any clue, as does anyone except those people who are planning everything, as to what is going to happen, if it's going to happen, and how severe it's going to happen, if at all. But I think you need to be in some way prepared for something. Even if those people who live in California, like myself, you should have a little bit on hand in the event of an earthquake, or if the power goes down. Sherry said also it's going to think about bartering items. It's good to think about bartering items such as sugar, salt, coffee, and alcohol. There you go, Wayne. Alcohol also comes in handy as medicine. Yes, Rue. Alcohol can be used for many purposes other than drinking. Yes, Judy. Wait, who's joking? Wayne said, I bought alcohol for bartering and bargaining. Bargaining. 1 second after is the name of the book I think you're thinking about. Yeah, I think that's it. And it was written by somebody from North Carolina, I believe, setting was in like my hometown of North Carolina. That was a little bit, odd. Sherry said, I am, of course, hoping God calls us up to meet him in the air before this happens. Amen. And that may very well happen. We may be raptured, but we don't know. And we don't know when the rapture is going to be, And again, propane stove, Melanie said, yes. Again, we don't know if anything is going to happen, and nobody should be alarmed. Nobody should be scared. It's just a matter of going and doing a little preparation for whatever happens, whatever emergency may arise. I mean, as I told you before, we were in California. We were without electricity for 12 hours. Now, you wouldn't think that was a big deal, but people went absolutely berserk. They couldn't get gas. They couldn't cook. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't, the street lights were out. They didn't know how to get home. The cell towers were out. People went crazy. The behavior was just bizarre. All right. So if something serious happens, imagine you don't want to be out there on the street trying to get stuff when all that's going on. Grace, we are big campers, so we have lots of stuff to live off the grid. Sally said to Melody. Let's see. Sherry said, it's always just good to have a good water filtration system, some extra food, and a first aid kit on hand. Again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't get any money from these people, but I want to tell you once again about a water filtration system that is, semi-affordable, right? It's about $269, which is a lot, I know. But if you got back money from taxes, or if you got back money from, the government, your own money, and you have a little left over, you might want to look at Alexa Pure Pro. Now, again, you can look at anything else. That's what I bought for our family. That's what we are using. We absolutely love it. What it filters out of the water is amazing. And water is going to be more important than food in the event that something happens. So, I'm just saying, if you can afford it, if you can't afford it, then put water in your house, put it in containers, and make sure that you have that water on hand. We do have water like that in big gallons, like that you have for camping, so 21 gallons or something like that. So you have that also. You can run that through your water filtration system. Yeah, Karen. So yeah, that might be the right book. I see. Rue said, I went without for 14 days after an ice storm. See, there you go, Rue. It doesn't take a national or global crisis to show you that you should be a little bit prepared. Judy said, we prepare for big storms in winter and tornadoes in the summer. Yep, absolutely. Make sure you keep good shoes in your car if you're out. Jessie said, I have a pond and a swimming pool. There you go. Well, Rue, you could take that water and you could put it through that Alexa Pure Pro filtering system and drink that if you had to. I don't know about you'd have to look and see what it filters out, but it may filter out all of that. And you could always contact the people and ask them. Let me put up where you can actually get this and where you could get some supplies if you wanted to. Let me give you the link. And these are the people that they have Alexa Pure Pro that's listed on their website. And again, I haven't bought a better product. I was using Zero Water before, and that was pretty good, but I was having to buy filters like every 3 weeks. One filter for that Alexa Pure Pro that I read is good for about 5,000 gallons of water. So that's pretty darned amazing. All right, it's halftime. If everybody could, would you please go ahead and share this with everybody? So again, it's always good just to be prepared. All right. Now let's see what's happening in the rest of this crazy world. So, all right, here we go. All right, this was good news. A judge denies the CDC's appeal to keep the virus cruise restrictions. And this is, like in Florida, they wanted to make sure that if you came on there, you had to have a badge. I think you had to have a mask and everything else. They said this is about misuse of governmental power. Federal judge rejected their request to keep those restrictions on cruise ships departing from Florida after July 18, writing that the health agency cannot show a reason why it can exercise such power. So thank you so much. judge for being smart enough to know that this is government overreach. So we'll see what they do if there's an appeal or whatever. But thankfully, we had it tested. It's good to drink. We have 5 springs in our wetland area, very pure out of the ground. Oh, that's really good, Sally. That's really good. And they're also, Sally, if you were unsure, for those people who can't afford buying the Alexa Pure Pro, there are these sticks that you can get. I don't know what they're called, but you can put them in the water and it's like a straw and you can drink through it and it purifies the water. It comes up through that straw. So you can find those. I think probably my Patriot Supply has them too. And they're probably $29 or something like that. So in the event of a true emergency, that would be something that you'd be able to use. And it doesn't cost too much. Survival straw. There you go. Donna just told me that's called a survival straw. So look for that. And it is a good purchase. We have a couple of those. We got those a long time ago before we bought this Alexa Pure Pro. All right, here's some other things on. It is absolutely the government's business, according to Becerra. You remember him, don't you? He's the Health and Human Services Secretary, and Becerra used to be the AG of California. So he said, perhaps we should point out that the federal government has spent trillions of dollars to try to keep Americans alive during this pandemic. So they think that they've spent money on you, that they have a right to tell you what you should do, and that you need to tell them all types of information, right? He said, so it's absolutely the government's business. It is taxpayers' business if we have to continue to spend money to try to keep people from contracting the virus and helping reopen the economy. No, mister, I don't even think you have a law license anymore. You don't have the right to tell me what to do when you're using my money to do whatever it is that you feel that you should do. So you can go pound sand with that. He also shot down the suggestion that knocking on doors infringed on anyone's rights, insisting that knocking on a door has never been against the law. And guess what? Not answering the knock on the door has never been against the law either. Okay, so keep that in mind. It works both ways. You still work for us, even though we're holding on by shoestrings. You still do work for us. Now, Dan Crenshaw said, how about don't knock on my door? You're not my parents. You're the government. Make the badges available and let people be free to choose. Why is that concept so hard for the left? And you remember also that President Trump, when he got the virus badges for us, said that he would never make that mandatory, right? He doesn't have the power to do that either. Sally said, wow, Susan, I didn't know about the straws. We gave the money, so we own you. That's right, Tim. That's what they think. Susan, for 2024, Bruce said, the lake across the street, we have a canoe in case we need to escape. Well, good, Sally. You sound pretty prepared. And where did the government get the money from in the first place? I won't open my door for these sickos. Exactly. And you know, Stephanie, oh my gosh, these people, I just won't say anymore. Okay. Now here's some good news. When the government overreaches, there are good outcomes at times, not all the time, but there are. This is a church was awarded $220,000 by Washington, D.C. after filing a lawsuit over the virus's religious restrictions. So the Mayor Muriel Bowser, her restrictions were issued in March and banned all indoor and outdoor church meetings of 100 or more, even if participants were wearing a veil and social distancing. And so the court, I guess, had them go in and reach a settlement, and try to anyway. And they did reach a settlement and signed on July 8th that basically paid $220,000 to church lawyers because they screwed up. Because the Constitution and your religious rights still matter, even though you don't think so. Mayor Bowser, whatever your name is. We are trying to get Governor Lee to stop them from knocking on the door. Yeah, I don't think Governor Lee is going to do much of anything. He may, Sally, but I think what you have there with Governor Lee in a lot of respects is that you have somebody who is a rhino. Okay. That's the best thing I can say about him. He pretends to be a Republican, goes on TV, pretends that he's a Republican, but he's really not. He's really not. Okay. Now, you may want to go back and read this later. This is about CRT. This is from Christopher Rufo. At least 25 public school districts in 12 states are now teaching Not My Idea, a book that claims whiteness is the devil, luring children with the promise of stolen land and stolen riches. All right. This whole thread you need to read. He gives the names, list of public school districts that are teaching this. Let me see if anybody recognizes anything. California, of course, is on here. I don't see too many others. I don't see like Tennessee or anything like that for the time being. But this may be something you want to go back. Let me give you the link just in case you want to go back and look at that later. But I will say that Lee was going to let them knock on every student's door after the lockdown. He changed his mind after roar from parents. Yeah, and again, if he were a true Republican conservative, Sally, like he pretends to be, that wouldn't have nobody would have had to ask him for that. Stephanie said, I'm not a real Republican. I just play one on TV. Exactly. Make sure to buy dry ice just in case some of you don't have a generator in place, Monique said. Yeah, CCP Rhino. Yeah, something's going on there with him. All countries stole land, UK, Spain, France, and all the Africans. What state is Lee in? Tennessee, Robin. Tennessee. All right. Now, here's what these schools in Chicago are doing. I don't know which is worse. Probably they're about the same for different reasons. But in Chicago, supposedly, the schools are going to provide free condoms to fifth graders under the sex education policy. So this will be for students ages 10 and up. So if you're in Chicago and your child comes home and he or she's 10 years old with condoms, you'll know where they came from. They came from your school. So best system ever, Susan. We love ours. Cool, Monique. Kay Ivy here in Alabama is a rhino too. You know, here's the thing. If you are still sending your kids to public schools, A, you're going to have to become more involved. B, you're going to have to demand that you can sit in the classrooms and see what's going on. Or C, you might want to consider homeschool because all of this stuff is happening. Parents find out after the fact for the most part, and some things aren't even told to you. I saw this little blurb. I didn't read it further, but I guess there was a teacher teaching the CRT, and she was telling students, shh, don't tell anybody about what we're talking about. Really? If you're a teacher and you're saying that, if it were my kid, I would make sure that you lost your job. Who in the world do these people think they are? Chicago Bob said we can't even pay our bills, but we can buy condoms for students. Yeah, probably comes from some federal dollars. Chicago Pops would be my thought. Is it true that Joe Obama is sending out CDC troops to our homes to force us to take the jabs, and so can we refuse? Monique, do you even have to ask that question? Of course you can refuse. And this is somebody who's going to knock on your door and ask you if you've taken it and ask you if you want it. You have a religious exemption. You have a First Amendment right. You have a my choice, my body. You never have to take anything when somebody comes to your door and tells you you have to take it. And if that does happen, you need to call the sheriff's office right away and let all the rest of us know. This is wrong on every level, Sally said. We need more homeschooling, even if both parents work. True Chicago Pops. Tim, here you go. For some of you who are, let's say, grandparents, or some of you who, are retired, maybe you want to start your own homeschool situation. You could do online homeschool. There are Zoom calls. They were doing it at some of the schools, the public schools. They were teaching kids through Zoom and other things. Why not try to do something like that? If you have enough people who are interested and that's what they want for their children, why not do it? That would be a really good thing. All right. Now, this was under the Who Saw That Coming? And this is for California. and I'm being facetious when I say that, but the California transgender prisoner law, biological males are attacking female inmates, says women's advocate. So people, the males, some of them are claiming that they are transgender women or non-binary. They're being transferred upon request to female prisons in California, and they're supposedly raping the women there, in women prisoners there in prison. Yes, I know, it's absolutely insane. Communism at our doors, Liz said. Judy said, and your first question to them should be, do you know Jesus? Yeah, first and last, Judy, as you're closing the door in their face. And that is perfect. All right. Now, also, I'm just trying to get this in, and this is the last one for today. This is some good news, depending on how you look at it, I suppose. But this is from the Federalist, and they are saying new evidence indicates enough illegal votes in Georgia to tip the 2020 results. I'm going to give you the link to that, and you can go and look at that yourself a little bit later on. Seems schools are not teaching the 3 R's. Anyway, parents can handle teaching just as well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why not? If you have you don't even need, I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm not a teacher. I'm not, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know this, that, and the other. You get a lot of materials. You get a lot of help. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. You need to have most states, a high school education. That's all you need. And there are tons of programs online that will teach your child, and you don't have to know anything. I can see this going wrong like it did in Africa. They used a tree branch to demonstrate on how to apply them. They woke up next day, they put the condoms on all the tree branches. Oh my gosh. Sally, Lord Jesus, we covet your presence. Yes, Chicago female prison guards are suing the city because male prisoners are exposing themselves to guards. Well, who saw that coming, Chicago Pops? Unbelievable. Okay, here we are in Genesis chapter 39. Now, Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all he had to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had he put under his authority. So it was from the time that he had made him overseer of his house and all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and in the field. Thus he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. And it came to pass after these things that the master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused and said to his master's wife, look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand. There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So it was, as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not heed her, to lie with her, or to be with her. But it happened about this time, when Joseph went into the house to do the work, and none of the men of the house was inside, that she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. But he left his garment in her hand and fled and ran outside. And so it was, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called to the men of her house and spoke to them, saying, see, he has brought into us a Hebrew to mock us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And it happened, when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. So she kept his garment with her until his master came home. Then she spoke to him with words like these, saying, the Hebrew servant whom he brought to us came in to me to mock me. So it happened, as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled outside. So it was, when his master heard the words which his wife spoke to him, saying, your servant did to me after this manner, that his anger was aroused. Then Joseph's master took him and put him in a prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy, and he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever they did there, it was his doing. The keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority, because the Lord was with him. And whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. It came to pass after these things that the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was angry with his two officers, the chief butler and the chief baker. So he put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard in the prison, the place where Joseph was confined. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, so they were in custody for a while. When the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, had a dream, both of them, each man's dream in one night, and each man's dream with its own interpretation. And Joseph came in to them in the morning and looked at them and saw that they were sad. So he asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in the custody of his lord's house, saying, "Why do you look so sad today?" And they each have had a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. So Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell them to me, please." Then the chief butler told his dream to Joseph and said to him, "Behold, in my dream a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches. It was as though it budded. Its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth ripe grapes. Then Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand." Joseph said to him, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Now within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your place, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand according to the former manner when you were his butler. But remember me when it is well with you, and please show kindness to me. Make mention of me to Pharaoh and get me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and also I have done nothing here that would put me into the dungeon." When the chief baker saw that the interpretations was good, he said to Joseph, "I also was in my dream, and there were 3 white baskets on my head. In the uppermost basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, and the birds ate them out of the basket on my head." So Joseph answered and said, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat your flesh from you." Now it came to pass on the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast for all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. Then he restored the chief butler to his butlership again, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet the chief butler did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. Let's see. Then it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he stood by the river. Suddenly there came up out of the river 7 cows, fine looking and fat, and they fed in the meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them out of the river, ugly and gaunt, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly and gaunt cows ate up the 7 fine-looking and fat cows. So Pharaoh awoke. He slept and dreamed a 2nd time, and suddenly 7 heads of grain came up on one stalk, plump and good. Then behold, 7 thin heads, blighted by the east wind, sprang up after them, and the 7 thin heads devoured the 7 plump and full heads. So Pharaoh awoke, and indeed it was a dream. Now it came to pass in the morning that the spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief butler spoke to Pharaoh, saying, "I remember my faults this day, when Pharaoh was angry with his servant to put me in custody in the house of the captain of the guard. Both me and the chief baker, we each had a dream in one night, he and I. Each of us dreamed according to the interpretation of his own dream. Now there was a young Hebrew man with us there, a servant of the captain of the guard, and he told him, and we told him, and he interpreted our dreams for us. To each man he interpreted according to his own dream, and it came to pass just as he interpreted for us. So it happened. He restored me to my office, and he hanged him. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon, and he shaved, changed his clothing, and came to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that you can understand a dream to interpret it." So Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, "It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace." Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Behold, in my dream I stood on the bank of my river, of the river. Suddenly 7 cows came out of the water, fine looking and fat, and they fed in the meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them, poor and very ugly and gaunt, each ugliness as I have never seen in all the land of Egypt. And the gaunt and ugly cows ate up the first 7, the fat cows. When they had eaten them up, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were just as ugly as at the beginning. So I awoke. Also I saw in my dream, and suddenly 7 heads came up from one stalk, full and good. Then behold, 7 heads, withered, thin, and blighted by the east wind, sprang up after them. And the thin heads devoured the 7 good heads. So I told this to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads are 7 years. The dreams are one. And the 7 thin and ugly cows which came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty heads blighted by the east wind are 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. Indeed, 7 years of great plenty will come throughout all the land of Egypt, but after them 7 years of famine will arise, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine will deplete the land. So the plenty will not be known in the land because of the famine following, for it will be very severe. And the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice, because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let them appoint officers over the land to collect 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 plentiful years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. Then the food shall be as a reserve for the land for the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land may not perish during this famine. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. And I think it's interesting. I did not know that we were going to be reading this section today, but we talked about preparing, setting aside for a famine or an emergency. And here we go. We read it in the Bible, and God is telling them to do the same there. 7 years of grain. Ebeka is a good Christian home school program, or Abeka, I don't know which one it is. Judy wrote, hey, Gary, thank you. Just making sure that we, the people, still have some rights left. Yeah, Monique. Let's see. Shame the program I would like to give to my daughter-in-law. So did you get that? Let's see. I homeschooled my son through high school using a Christian-based program used by missionaries in the past. Yep. Good word for today. Absolutely, Stephanie. God warns us, Chesney said. So, yeah, absolutely. And it just came up today. I mean, I did not know we were going to read that today. So be prepared. That's all I can say. And for anything, as best as you can. All right. I love the story, how it comes full circle back to the brothers. Amen, Rue. And God had his hand in all of that and made all of that happen just for that reason, Rue. And that's what's so great about it, too. Definitely great word for today, Chesney said. Yeah, thank you, Karen said. Thank you, Susan. You are very welcome. All right, everybody, if you would please share this. And have a great weekend, and we'll see you again tomorrow. God bless you all, and thank you, Susan. You are welcome, Judy. Thank you, Susan. Always enjoy your reading. Thank you, Chicago Pops. All right, we're going to give you a minute going out and to say goodbye to each other and say whatever you want, and we'll see you back here again on Monday, God willing. And again, please, if you will, please share this. Take care, everybody.